Manual automations inside of your CRM can be a make or break for your business. If you're moving every single lead into your CRM, moving them from stage to stage, and you're following up with them, you're trying to get referrals automatically, you're trying to ask them for a proposal, you're trying to follow up on your proposal automatically. If this is all done manually in your CRM, you're wasting probably about 30 to 40 hours a week just following up with people, making sure things are working correctly. In this video, I'm going to show you the 8 automations I set up for every single business to eliminate about 30 to 40 manual operations inside the business and also save them between 30 to 40 hours every single week just inside their CRM. So the way it works is, and I'm going to go ahead and show you a little overview that I built out here. And this is what I like to call the lead to move CRM pipeline. So what we have here is, this is exactly what the biggest problem is. Every time you have someone that's coming into your business, you're going to need them to go through the sequence. And the sequence is they come in through a lead source, and then you capture them, you respond to them, you qualify them, figure out if they're qualified, and then you send them an estimate, you give them a quote, you book them, and then once you booked one, you move it to your project management tool. Once that's done, you're going to move it to the like reminders. And then, so for instance, if you're getting something done on a specific day, the next thing is you're going to move to dispatch. And then the last thing is post move. So for instance, this was a moving company that I set this up for. You're going to review the task, ask for referral, and if they like you, try to get that information from them. So the way that this is set up is a lot of manual work, but it can really be automated very quickly. So the first thing that you're going to have here is you're going to have your Google Ads lead sources that you're probably going to have if you're a local business. Maybe you have a website form that you get leads from. Maybe you have a phone system that you get calls on. Maybe you get leads through Thumbtack. Maybe it's from a referral or like another business. Any way you do it, what we can do is we can set up a lead capture automation. So all this is going to do is it's going to take all this information, and anytime you get a lead through any one of these sources, it's going to automatically send it to this first automation, which is the lead capture automation. The second one is instant autoresponder. So responding to your leads can increase your closing and your book rate for those leads extremely high. So I don't know the numbers right off the top of my head, but if you are able to reply to people in less than 60 seconds, it's proven that people will book with you more. So what we can set up for you is, or what we recommend setting up is some sort of text or email within 60 seconds, depending on the type of business that you have. You might want to email, you might want to text, it's up to you, but within 60 seconds, and then make sure the owner's alerted. So if you're a larger business, maybe you want to alert a sales rep, maybe you want to alert like a different manager, whoever it is, you're going to want to alert someone that, hey, you have a new lead. The other thing that we do inside of here, and specifically between these two steps, is we use this word called AI. So a lot of times what we can do is we can actually classify if this is a good lead or this is a bad lead using AI. And so what we can do is we can make sure that only good leads are going into your CRM and you're getting alerted for the good ones, and the bad ones we're just throwing right out of your CRM. So second thing is the instant auto response. The next thing is a qualifying and enrichment. So if you're a local service company, typically, and you serve like a B2C market, so you're a moving company or you're a plumber, typically you don't need this automatic enrichment. But if you're a B2B business, you definitely want to make sure you're enriching your contacts. So as soon as someone reaches out to you and is asking for a quote, they're going to, then what we're going to do is we're going to use a few different sources to get their email, to get their contact, to verify the email, to make sure we know exactly where they're working, to make sure we know their the location. And the reason for that is you might have various different SDRs here, and those SDRs are going to reach out to different people differently based on location, right? Based on location, based on maybe the size of the company, or based on maybe the amount of or the job. So you might have one sales rep that only reaches out to people if they have a moving job, and then you might have another sales rep if they're moving a whole company. So completely different situations there. So once we have all that done, we're going to qualify them, we're going to enrich them, and then we're going to put that information obviously into your CRM. So this is all done internal into your CRM. The biggest part about this next thing is, once we have all this information, we can qualify them. So we're qualifying them here. We're also qualifying them here. So for instance, maybe you own a service business and you do work in New Jersey, but you don't in New York. So let's just say this person is qualified because of what they put in. And then you look up the business and you realize, oh, shoot, they're actually in New York. We don't do business in New York. So what we would do then is we would kick them out of the CRM. So once they're qualified, the next thing that we would do is also, if we would disqualify them, we'd probably text them and just say, hey, thanks so much for reaching out, but at this time, you probably wouldn't be a good fit. The next thing is we're going to do a estimate or a virtual survey. So sometimes what can happen is we can set up a meeting with them to go over exactly what they're looking for you to get done. And we can record this meeting, first of all, and we can put it inside your CRM. And then we can also create notes about the meeting to create the next step, which is a proposal. So a lot of times some people don't like to set this up because they don't trust AI to look at it, but we've been able to get really good results and also create basic estimates right off the bat using AI. So people will take a couple of pictures of their home and you're like, yep, we can do this, we can't do this, all that good stuff. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do a quote. So based on the estimate, based on the meeting, you're going to fill in a form. So that form is going to have a couple different boxes on it. And so what we recommend is when we work with someone, specifically if they're a service-based business, is try to productize your service. And what I mean by productize your service is you don't have to fit into a few different boxes, but typically you're going to have a couple different boxes that you're going to want to check. And based on what's in those boxes, you're going to send different emails or different proposals to them. So for instance, if you're a moving company, we could probably do some mathematical formulas like, we can do 3 times the location, times the amount of people, times the time of day, times whatever, and then come up with a number to put into this proposal. So the more proposals that we're able to get out, the better it is. And I will say that people would rather just probably get a proposal. If someone's able to go onto your website and just get a number, most likely they will buy from you. Now, not always the case because obviously some people don't buy, but more often than not in service-based businesses and even larger B2B businesses, having a range of costs is very profitable. So the next thing we're going to do is typically with this proposal, we're going to build it out in something like a PandaDoc or a custom build opportunity. This is one of the PandaDocs that I built out for one of my clients. And in this, they can have a signature. So as soon as they sign, then what's going to happen is they're going to get an instant email saying, thanks so much for signing, and it's going to go right into their CRM. The next thing that's going to happen is right after it goes into their CRM, they're going to get an email notification, and they're also going to get notifications when the quote was reviewed. If the quotes have not been assigned in the first 5 to 7 days, we're going to do a 5 to 7 touch over the next 14 days. So, hey, thanks so much. Can you follow up with this? Blah, 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 whatever it is, right? We're going to create that follow-up sequence to make sure that people book, or at least people aren't interested. Next, what we're going to do is if they did not book and we know that they're not interested, we'll kick them out of the CRM after 14 days. But what I like to do is instead of kicking them directly out of the CRM is I like to do a automation. So I do every 14 days, I do every 30 days, and then I do every 90 days. And I don't follow up with the same proposal because obviously after 90 days, most likely they don't want to buy. Now it depends on your buying cycle. But what I like to do is I like to do at 90 days, 120, and then once a month for the next 100 years. I'm going to follow up with this person and say, hey, you reached out to us about a month ago for these type of services. Is that something you're still interested? You'd be surprised the amount of work that you get from people that said they no longer need your service, but then they actually never bought and now, or the project got pushed off and now they follow up with it. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and whenever something's booked, a pause, a pays, a deal moves, we are going to automatically have that automation. So it moves to your project management tool. Then we're going to assign crew members. We can assign tasks. You can put this in your project manager tool, whatever you want to do. And that's obviously going to help you making sure that you don't forget about the project. The next thing is we're going to do, so for instance, this was a mover, but the day of service, we could just say day of service. We are then going to do live status. We're going to dispatch. We're going to do an e-sign bill of ladling. We're going to do payment. So making sure that all of this is complete on that day. So all that your team has to do is they just have to click a couple buttons once it's complete. And then post move or post project. Post project, we're going to ask for a review, referral, and then we're going to try to win them back. So to do another service. That's super key. So how do we do this? How do we set this up? So I like to use a tool called make.com. There's a lot of tools out there. There's NAN, which I'll show you right now, which is a great tool as well. I build things on this as well. There's Zapier, which is a great tool. Zapier is very expensive, so if you would like to spend money, this is a great one. But like I said, also it can definitely be done, and it's easy to set up. The reason why I like to set these up in Make and not in something like a Cloud Code is we can set this up in Cloud Code routines, but I like to set them up in Make because they're fundamentally automations that are going to run repeatedly over and over and over again. So I set these up and I thought I'd go ahead and show you exactly what they would look like and how you would set them up. So here's my make.com, and this is exactly where I build them out. So actually I went in here, go into scenarios here, and then we can go into my speed of lead systems. And now these are not customized for any specific business. So you'll see a lot of these blue globes is because they could really be used for any instances. So the first lead to capture system is we're going to create a webhook here. And this webhook is going to come from, it could come from various different sources, but most likely it'll come from Facebook ads. It could come from a Google form. It could come from a phone call, whatever it is, we're going to get some sort of lead form or webhook into the system. And then next thing, it's going to upsert it. For instance, in this case, it's going to be actually going to send it to HubSpot. And then we're going to tag it depending on where it came from. So is it Google, or is it a web form? Is it a Thumbtack or Yelp? Whichever one. And then it's going to basically process it based on that. So that's the first automation. And if you're interested in having these automations, I'd be more than happy to set them up for you, or I can even just send you the blueprints. You can load them into make.com and you can automate your business there. The next one is speed of lead instant response. So this is super critical, obviously, whenever someone submits a form to make sure we know that they got access to it. So the first thing is whenever we get a new lead, this is going to be a webhook actually from the last instance. And whenever we get a new lead, we're going to send an SMS, email, text message, and then we're going to also send an email, and then we're going to report it in Slack. So telling someone, hey, we got a new lead and what those leads look like. So the way that this works is we're going to have to put in some information, and I actually don't have any of my tokens here, which is good. But the way it works is we're going to send a personalized email, and all this is going to say is like, hey, thanks so much for reaching out, but we'll get you your quote shortly. And we could automate this and set this up for any type of situation or text message that you want. So the next one is after the speed of lead, we have the mixed call text back. So the way that this works is you're going to have you're going to basically call someone. So whenever someone calls it, if you don't necessarily pick up the phone, you can have a text back. So you're going to have Twilio text them back, and then you're going to log the activity in your CRM to make sure people know, hey, we actually texted this person back. The next thing that we're going to set up is a qualifying, enriching, and scoring. So we're going to use a few different properties here. So we're going to figure out, like based on Google, how far away it is, or we're going to update this, and then we're going to update the CRM on exactly how far that distance is. We're also going to be able to get amount of bedrooms. For instance, if you're a moving company, if you're a plumbing company, it might be a little bit different, but you might want to change the rate based on the location. If it's a nicer location, you might want to increase the cost a little bit. And then we're going to be able to tag them if they're hot, if they're warm, or if we're just looking to nurture these people based on the lead that we're getting. The next automation that we're going to set up is your quote and sending the Stripe payment. So what we will do typically is we can do this a couple of different ways. We can automate the 100% of the quote. So we have a template. For instance, we'll have a template in a form like this. And that template is going to basically be a quote that you have sent out. And it's just going to fill in the information in here, cost, amount, location, based on the inputs that we have or what comes from your CRM. So when you click a button in your CRM, it's going to create a deposit link in Stripe, and then it's going to email the quote and deposit link in SendGrid using SendGrid. But typically what we do is we actually insert into here something like a PandaDoc. And then we're going to search for a document, and then we're going to go ahead and actually try to find a document in here. So template ID, and here's the Nexo recruitment one. And then what we do is once we have that one, then what we're going to do is we're actually going to use that one to go ahead and create the document. We can send it through email, and then we can move the contact from interested to quote sent. Once we have all that set up, the next thing is the follow up with the nurture enrollment. So this is like following up with the contact. So for instance, making sure that they don't drop off. So we're going to get a webhook as far as the date. We're going to enroll them in the follow-up sequence, and then we're going to create a follow-up task for the rep to make sure that they don't forget about it. So if you have a sales team, making sure that they don't forget about following up with their projects. And then the next one is a booked call and Ops Handoff. So this is really important. Obviously, if you have a project management tool, or if you have two different teams, one a sales team, one a delivery team, so you want to make sure those two are working together. So we're going to create a job in dispatch tool. So this could be anything, but let's just say yourdispatch.com. So sometimes it's a project manager tool, whatever it is. We're going to create a customer service invoice. We already made the Stripe invoice, so we might be able to skip this one. And then we're going to email the CIO to the building, and then we're going to do notify ops, hey, by the way, we have just kicked this project off and we just were awarded it. Next thing that we're going to do is, which is the very last one, which is post move and then referral and then win back. So whenever someone after the move, we're going to try to request a review. We're going to see if they have a referral, and then we're going to tag annually to say, hey, you guys moved last year, you're moving again this year. Obviously, it would be a little bit different. So these are the automations we can set up for you. If you have any interest in getting these set up, love to jump on a quick call and go through them exactly how I've laid them out here. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. Looking forward to working with you soon.